Okay, my name is Mariah Helen Lee. I was Helen Minyard. I'm Creek, and I spent my whole childhood at the Eufaula boarding school, which is just down the road. But I belong to the Arbica Indian Baptist Church, and that is about 2 miles from my grandmother's old home. And this story comes from my mother, who was Gladys Albert Lansbury. Her parents were Bertha Fisher and Waddy Albert. And they would go to the Indian church, and if nobody was there with the car, then they would have to walk home. So they'd have to walk through the woods and then down the road. It was about 2 miles, but they'd go right down the road. And my mother said that they were on their way home from church one night, and her baby sister, Joanne, who was about maybe 3 years old, she said Granny and Grandpa were both ahead of them, just a couple of steps, and Aunt Joanne was right beside her, and Aunt Joanne started moving up and hitting her on her right leg and grabbing for her hand. And she said she looked down, and there was a little tiny person about the size of Aunt Joanne, who was only 3 years old. And he had a hold of Aunt Joanne's other hand, and they were walking along, and when the moon came out, Mom said she looked over, and this little guy was just holding onto her hand, walking along with them. And Aunt Joanne kept, trying to make him let go of her hand. And Mom said she started saying, Mom, look, turn around and look. And my grandfather said, just keep walking and ignore him. And she said in just a minute, he let go of Aunt Joanne's hand and went across the road in front of them and down in the ditch and back into the woods. And right behind him came another little woman and another little child person. And they stopped, and when they took a look at them, Aunt Joanne, at that time it was darker, a little bit darker, and Aunt Joanne, kind of moved back over close to Mom, and then they went on across the road and left. And Mom said that when they got back to the house, Aunt Joanne, who was wearing a little crocheted sweater, a little tiny crocheted sweater, when they got back to the house, the little crocheted sweater was gone from her. And my grandparents told them, well, that's just the little people that live in the woods. You don't have to worry about them. They're okay. They won't bother you. Just, kind of don't mess with them, and they're all around. So Mom said that from then on she was really afraid to walk in the woods after they'd gone to church at night. She was always praying that there'd be somebody there. Uncle Timmy would be there with the car to give them a ride home so that they wouldn't be bothered by the little people. But my grandmother, who would make medicine sometimes, and she said that if you were out gathering red root and you ran across one of the little people's trails, that you would be very disorientated. It would cause your, heart rate to go up. And she said you just had to be real careful. That she was out gathering red root one day, and she knew that she'd crossed a path of one of them, because she came to and she was sitting at the base of a tree, and she thought she'd maybe been sitting there about 3 hours. So.
Motto! That's the chord. Again, we want to definitely just continue making this announcement to make sure you wear your mask. If you need hand sanitizers, there's some up here at the table. And also practice the best way you can social distancing. But again, everybody